Music is powerful, and with marketing, music can be even more powerful. But what happens if you want to use the marketing not only to push your music, but to push a purpose in your life that goes beyond a music career? That's what I did with my student Max, and here's his story. All right, guys, so I'm here with my student Max. Max is up in New Jersey, the frigid cold during the winter. Max, I appreciate you being with me. Now, you guys, if you have any passion in life aside from music, if you are interested, if you are pulled, drawn to something that goes beyond just making music in your bedroom or having a few studio sessions a month, this is going to be for you, because this is going to show how you can also build your brand, build your music following while feeding with purpose your other passions in life. It doesn't have to be and or, right? Max is a perfect example of that. But before we jump into his story knee deep, I want Max to introduce himself. I appreciate you being here, man. Why don't you tell the people who you are, what kind of music you make, what you've been up to, man?
Thanks a lot, Adam. I am a New Jersey-based singer-songwriter who has a background as a session guitarist. I'm in a bunch of different bands, so I get around in that way. What I am as well is a hemophilia advocate. As a person living with hemophilia who has had it impact his music, I have been working on ways to blend the music with the hemophilia advocacy with you.
So Max originally joined the Cell Music Masterclass back in 2019. After a while, he reached out and he said, Adam, I love this, but I know that you have a one-on-one thing. And guys, I'm not trying to sell that to you, but I'm showing the importance of this. So he reached out and he said, I have more in my bag of tricks than just being a musician. I have this thing called hemophilia, and he explained to me, I'm going to have him explain that to you here in a little bit. But he said, I really want to become an advocate. I want to become a voice. I've been to some of these, medical conventions. I've, reached out to a lot of people online, and there's a community out there that's not being served, dealing with the same issues, the same frustrations, the same medical hardships and adversity as I am. But I remember something you told me, Max. You're like, all these guys out here are wearing polo shirts and they're not relatable at all. These people are out there, trying to push the gospel of hemophilia to a bunch of people that just don't view these people as one of theirs, right? So Max came out, wanted obviously to grow an audience, wanted to get more streams and understand more so how to build his brand around his music as a session guitarist, a singer-songwriter, been doing it a long time. But then he said, how can I tie in this other advocacy? How can I tie in these other purposes of my life that I feel drawn to? How can I make that all happen? So Max is doing big things, bigger than streaming numbers, bigger than some views on YouTube. Why don't you tell me what you've been up to in the last 6 months, as far as what we were talking about before we started rolling, with you actually going up and talking to legislature about the hemophilia cause?
So in the last year, I would say, because it started right on the head of the coronavirus lockdowns. Last year, during March, which is the month of bleeding disorder awareness, I was on Capitol Hill speaking to members of the branch regarding advocating for a legislative carve-out. My role in that was to share my story. That's what advocacy is sharing your story and bringing awareness to a disorder or a cause by humanizing it through sharing your story.
So how much impact across the entire hemophilia community do conversations like that have? How does that trickle down into better legislature for insurance, better treatment, better understanding, wrapping these lawmakers' heads around what you guys deal with on a regular basis? How does that evangelism actually make a big impact in your community?
Within our own community, it means a better community. It means a better, what it's like managing the cell music community. Within the hemophilia community, it often can represent, better morale, better unity as a group.
I don't know about you, but myself, when I'm dealing with medical issues, when I'm dealing with the frustrations in the music industry, when I'm dealing with even sports and how I can kind of have a roller coaster year depending on what team I'm following, there's always someone that I look to as an advocate, somebody that I look to that looks like me, sounds like me, talks like me, understands what I'm going through, whether it be a great thing, whether it be some adversity. And Max is this person for so many people out there. He's not just leaving a couple Facebook messages with some of his frustrations or, posting a photo of what he's going through. he's actually making a difference. He's going after it. He's taking the steps needed to make an actual change. And that's what advocacy, that's what evangelism is all about. Max looks like people that can relate to his message. He sounds like people that are going through it every single day. He's not one of these blowhard politicians that are talking about something that they know nothing about because he lives it, he breathes it. And now he's going out to try to have a voice and try to really make an impact. But this all ties back into marketing. This all ties back into branding. This all ties back into his music, leading him to this focus, leading him to this clarity on what he wants to do with life. So, Max, let's jump back into your music. How long have you been making music? How did you discover your passion for, writing songs, playing guitar? When did that all start, man? Let's go back to the beginning.
I started playing guitar about 20 years ago, and I heard a lot of sort of loud, aggressive music on the radio. We had that whole new metal 2000 thing going on, so you heard a lot of distorted guitars, and I was like, that was cool. That sounds like something that would blow off some steam. Sounds kind of like something that would make me feel like more than just kind of a hemophiliac. I figured like 50% guitar, 50% hemophilia was a little bit better there.
There you go. When it comes to the guitar playing, when it comes to your passions within that, is hemophilia something that actually held you back from maybe being able to gig, has held you back from even playing guitar? I know that I don't have hemophilia, but when I try to play guitar, I feel like I have carpal tunnel within about 18 seconds. And the medical, I don't want to make it sound like it's something that should be, feared. It's something that should be leaned into. So through the medical experience that you've had in your life, has that had any impact on your music career as far as your ability to play, your ability to gig, your ability to travel, your ability to, you fill in the blanks. What does that look like?
I've really done my best not to let it be a prohibitive force in my life, even though I've lost all of my cartilage in my right elbow to bleeding into it. I made the decision, well, if we really can't do much to repair this right now, I'm just going to keep doing the thing that I like to do. And when you've got something in you that you're trying to get out, or you've got something in you that you're trying to get away from with music, then you find a way to make music. It definitely was something that I've had to consider with the actual techniques I use as a guitar player, and my skill set developed to kind of compensate for the elbow issues more specifically. By and large, though, there's a concept called presenteeism in disability communities, which means that a lot of times you'll get real stoic and you won't talk about the problems you're having because you're worried that the people you work with, and this isn't just as a musician, this can be at any job, you're worried that the people you work with will begin to see you as a liability, and they may come to see you as unreliable because of that, and you might not get that next call, or you might not get those extra shifts. So people will tough it out. And so I've played shows where I was looking up at the ceiling the whole time because I had blood coming down my nose, or because I had blood in my elbow. I was playing shows where I was drinking probably more than I should have to deal with pain because I wasn't going to stop playing. I wasn't going to stop a show. I have both this sense of pride with the disorder, but also as a musician, I have standards of myself. There's only one time though that it actually ever stopped me. Thankfully, I was like a satellite member of the band. I was just playing percussion, but I jammed up my ankle, and normally it takes about 6 hours to 8 hours for it to get to be a problem. But this really got bad fast to the point where I couldn't really even stand, and had to have my best friend and one of my other friends in the crowd help me. We stopped the set for a minute, and they put my arms around their shoulders and fucking help me off the stage.
So obviously you've had a few challenges medically, but music has almost been an escape for one, and then the hemophilia cause has almost been an escape or a way to then level up, a way to take a stair step up in the right direction, to really make an impact that goes beyond streaming numbers like we had mentioned, goes beyond selling some merch, it goes beyond a tour date with a bunch of buddies. But how does marketing and branding fit into all of this? I know that people watching this right now are going to say, okay, this guy can play guitar. This guy has a blood disorder, but what does that have anything to do with why you guys are talking?
To speak directly to the viewers here, this stuff is the meat here. This was something that I struggled with. A lot of people struggle with this stuff. That's why it's so hard. What works for me, what this became was an exercise in seeing what was already existing in advocacy in my community, because there's a lot of great advocacy. It's not just me. Many hemophiliacs share their stories. What I have is something that makes me a bit atypical within my community, in the sense that I'm a dude with tattoos who plays guitar and makes music. I have another way of speaking to people. The way I've been able to deal with my condition and the way that I'm being upfront about it, it emboldens others to share their stories and engage with you. It is been an exercise in being vulnerable and looking within the communities I already travel in to see what I would like to see in them. And as you say, if you see something that isn't happening that you really think should be happening, well, that's kind of on you to figure out how to make it happen, because
Yeah.
that's going to be the thing that tracks. So when I figured out how to open up more about the hemophilia, I realized that it not only was setting an example for members of my community and helping them feel seen, but it was making me unique within music.
And that's powerful. When Max and I started working together one on one, that was really one of the main focuses of how can we utilize what you've done over the years with music and the passion that you have behind it to really deliver a different message to a different subsect of people, a different target audience with the hemophilia crowd, the hemophilia cause. And that's been really fun working together with you, Max, on how you found your voice. I mean, you did some creative marketing strategies, some custom comic book style, content creation around the hemophilia cause for your community that I know that they were eating up with a golden spoon. But how is the branding and the marketing and understanding how to kind of do that with your music? How is that directly correlated with the hemophilia advocacy in order to get more people on board, be able to take what's going on up here and deliver it in a way that really lands, in a way that's not going to over confuse or overcomplicate anything, and really, connect with people on a very human and vulnerable way?
What's been important for me has been to use the avenues that music provides me, which is, as you know, promotion. When you do music, you're supposed to promote your music. And when you promote your music to people, people are likely to want to, talk to you about your music if there's a good story behind it. So what I've been able to do, and it started out as almost an afterthought of like, oh yeah, my blood doesn't work and it makes it hard to play music. So yeah, let's press please. And so it started with that. It started with local journalism, and discussing my music with a local journalist and using this story to inform, everything that got me to that record. From there, what happened was I realized that this was a way to sort of flywheel it out, where a small thing could become something bigger, because music promotion became hemophilia advocacy, because I shared the story of how I made this record. And since hemophilia is tied to that, I was able to figure out ways of explaining it that weren't highly academic, because people were willing to listen to me. People were compelled. People were sympathetic to the story, and they were willing to learn a little bit. It doesn't have to be huge changes. If you, just like what I've done speaking to you, I've educated you slightly on what it is, but more importantly, I've humanized it to you. I've redefined what this abstract thing is as a person now. That's
Yeah,
a
and
big deal.
it is a big deal. I was about to say it's so powerful with the work we've done together. And for anybody watching this right now, I love marketing. I love music marketing. I love brand building and everything. But when it goes beyond the typical, hey, Adam, how do I go viral on TikTok? Hey, Adam, how do I get 100,000 streams on Spotify? And it really goes into changing people's lives in a very powerful way, going and becoming an advocate for something that so many people are nervous to talk about. something that people are ashamed of. People think that they have to hide, and that nobody understands them, and that this is something that's going to hold them back for the rest of their life. And Max is out here in front of it saying, no, 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 it's not how it has to be. We all deal with the same shit. This is what's going to make our lives better. And I'm going to speak up as loudly as I can with the tools that I have to make sure that it's making an impact. It's not just something that's selfish. It's something that's incredibly, I would imagine, fulfilling, but incredibly impactful to so many that might not even know your name, might not ever know your face, but you know that the actions that you're taking and the little intricacies of actually getting in front of the right people are going to make an impact far beyond your years, far beyond my years. And I think that that was so powerful that, it almost gives me goosebumps. And that's why I wanted to share Max's story. Now, Max, in a very self-serving question here, how important, how much of a role, how much of a impact has the program that we've worked on together had in this new mission of yours?
I am one cog in an advocacy machinery, and what your course has allowed me to do is figure out how to speak to members of my community in a way that might be more compelling to listen to. A lot of people struggle, I find, because if I'm struggling with it, and there are people in the course asking a lot of the same questions, a lot of people are looking for a quick answer with their brand about what is authentic. People will say they're authentic for the sake of saying they're authentic. But for me, where this got meaningful, it didn't just make the advocacy work better, but through figuring out how to speak about it in my music, through really casing that, it made the music so much more fulfilling. Before that, I used to derive a lot more pleasure from working on other people's stuff than my own.
Why don't you share with my audience what you have up your sleeve, what you're in the works of pushing and promoting now? Feel free to take the stage with some, selfless plugs or whatever they call it, shameless plugs, and tell people really how you've merged the music mission with the hemophilia advocacy mission.
So a lot of the brand had to come from a lot of doing. I had to work on myself. I had to do more, because for a while it was nice to have this story that had already happened, but I had felt like I hadn't drawn enough from it. So I got to work over COVID just writing more. I just kept doing this work, trying to figure out how to talk about this in a way that didn't seem like a hack, in a way that felt really good to me as an artist. What I'm doing is working on a record called Redefine, and it is about how I sort of changed my outlook on hemophilia, the work I did on this, though it's more than that. It's a mental thing in a broader sense. But by doing this, I feel like I'm demonstrating to my community what healing looks like, and I'm demonstrating the reality, because in a lot of cases, what it is when we see the marketing. One of the marketing follies is that we show the success story. We show the success. We gloss over the effort with montages, and we don't show people nearly enough mid-transformation. We'll show the before, we'll show a during, but it's a picture. We'll show the after, and we'll really accentuate the after, the beach bod, the, whatever. But showing someone in the act of figuring it out is huge, because a lot of times people don't want to talk about that. They don't want to show how the sausage is being made. They don't want to admit that they don't know what they're doing either, but that they're working on things and trying to figure them out. That's what I'm trying to show, not just my community, but anyone, that it's okay to not know what you're doing if you're figuring it out.
Yeah, and that's that's really why I wanted to share Max's story with you guys. You don't have to go and think that you're going to go from 0 to 100 overnight. Sometimes the pride, sometimes the success story is within finally finding your path, finally finding something that ties the things in your life that matter so much to you together in a way that not only gives you freedom, but fulfillment, as I always talk about here on my YouTube channel. Max is a perfect example of this. A guy that looks like Max with some crazy tattoos, some crazy hair, some crazy guitar skills, but also deals with a very real and very under talked about medical condition is now merging the two to get up on Capitol Hill, possible TED Talk, as we've spoke about in the past. And I know that the social climate of not being able to leave our houses have kind of slowed that down. But Max is on a path to really making a huge impact in a lot of people's lives. And the money and the notoriety and the virality and all of that stuff will come. But right now, he's finding the messaging. Right now, he's using the tools that he has to really make the message resonate with more people in a way that's human, in a way that's not, the disclaimer at the end of a allergy medication commercial where they're talking so fast you can't understand what the side effects are. Max is humanizing this for so many people that might live in the middle of nowhere and have no one in their life ever that they've ever been able to kind of relate to, kind of resonate with, kind of say, you know what? This dude's like hella cool. I didn't know somebody else like this was dealing with the same stuff I'm dealing with. And I think that arguably is more important than the numbers. It's more important because you're making an impact that's not quantified by some facade. It's not quantified by some surface level, what do you want to call it? Surface level numbers, right? Surface level, hey, how many followers do you have? How many, subscribers and stuff? Obviously that stuff matters, but what Max is doing is real world stuff, real social stuff, real social advocacy in the form of a medical plight that he's kind of had to deal with his whole life. And that, as he said it best earlier, has kind of kept him from doing some things that, other people take for granted on a regular basis. Before we started recording, Max was telling me that his medications per month are tens of thousands of dollars. There's going to be people out there that just can't afford that. They don't have the insurances. They don't have the medical attention that's going to allow them to get the treatment that they need. And Max's work is really going to make a huge impact in their lives long-term as far as those being more available, the cost and the insurance coverages and everything that relates to something that you and I might not be able to understand, but has a huge impact in a positive way of somebody that's living it every single day. I'm going to have all of Max's links in the description box below. Go check out the video that he just dropped for his upcoming project. I really want you guys to get behind him. Go show him some love on social media. Max, I appreciate you being here with me today, man. It's been so much fun working with you one-on-one, having you in the program. Max is very active in the group. It's just been really, really fascinating to watch Max blossom. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but go from this, rough around the edges rocker dude that's just killing it to saying, how do I humanize a medical condition that most people don't understand, they can't wrap their head around, or they miscategorize? And then watching him do that month after month has been awesome. I hope you guys have enjoyed his story as much as I have. If you have any questions for him directly, not only about the medical stuff, but the music stuff, or just about him in general, hit him up. Like I said, links in the description box below. Max, I appreciate you being here with me. I'm going to respect your time. I know you have something else to do, but where can people find you on social media?
My big platform is Instagram, which the tag is I__Maxwell, which I wanted to be I Maxwell, but somebody else is I Maxwell, and that made me a little sad, but
we can work on that. We can work on it.
We can. I have the same handle on Twitter, and I am at facebook.com/Max Feinstein.
Now, Max is a prime example of how success and fulfillment come in a lot of different shapes and forms. And if you have a passion project and you're interested in working with me directly on that, I invite you to click the little link in the description box below. Let's have a conversation. Click this video next if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel. Smash that bell icon so you can be notified first anytime I upload a video just like this. Come connect with me over on Instagram, and I appreciate you watching.